Welcome to Love Lattes, the podcast designed for women who are ready to stop settling and start living a life full of authentic love, confidence, and real connection. I'm your host, Victoria, the self-love scientist, speaker, and coach, and I'm here to help you reclaim your power, deepen your relationships, and fall unapologetically in love with yourself. So grab your tea, your latte, or your favorite beverage, and let's get started. Okay, everybody say it with me. We are not obsessed with heated rivalry because of hockey. We are not foaming at the mouth because of the players' abs, the locker room, or testosterone-fueled aggression. We're obsessed with heated rivalry because it centers around how people desire and want to experience sex and to be chosen. And here's the real thing. Here's the real hot take on this. What we're responding to, especially for women, isn't a fantasy. It's literally a mirror of what we've been taught not to ask for, a mirror of emotional availability without fragility, and a mirror of desire that doesn't require shrinking, chasing, or performing. Because let's be honest, everyone wants to be wanted. But deep down, we really want someone who chooses us with intention, with risk, with emotional presence. And if you watched it, Heated Rivalry delivers that in a way that felt emotional, playful, so charged, deeply human. And honestly, like timetable wise, like that was fucking long, like years. This show did not blow up because, okay, maybe it did blow up because of the spicy scenes, but it also blew up because it validates what women have always wanted. Connection, polarity, and desire that feels mutual instead of earned, instead of fake. So grab your latte. We're gonna get into this, guys. Okay? So I just think, this is not a book review. This is just a breakdown of how this show offered desire psychologically. And I can't tell you how many people asked me, like, did you watch Heated Rivalry? Did you watch Heated Rivalry? And I'm like, okay, let me watch this and let me tell you something. I I could get past everything, but then there were some certain situations, and this is not about the sex. This was the emotional bonding and the risk and the hiding and the shame that each character had to experience outside. And I was like, oh my God, I have to talk about this. So let's get into a few things that, how this show is literally code for women's desire. Number one, this book, it was literally written for the female gaze. Gaze, not for the male fantasy. And if you are watching this and you were like, I enjoyed it as a male, that's great. But as far as the feedback I got was from a lot of women. So really, most romance, especially sports romance, centers how women experience desire, not how we're expected to perform. So in Heated Rivalry, the desire isn't rushed. I mean, they literally began with glances, conversations, and eventually, okay, this whole episode might have spoilers, so stop if you haven't watched it, but come on. They hook up, guys. And but it was years, literally years. It's the emotional tension, the glances, the lingering looks, the banter, the power dynamics before the physical payoff. This is almost in comparison to Bridgerton, right? And if you think I should watch that and do a spiel, please let me know in the comments. But the sex scenes, especially, okay? So let's talk about the sex scenes for a little bit. It wasn't like 50 Shades. It was sex scenes that prioritized how they connected. Like you could see by watching this, like, wow, like they're really in it together. There's literally consent every time. It's literally brought up. And I absolutely fucking love that, you know? And the anticipation, Can we talk about the anticipation? Like the wanting, and then the reality behind the disappointment that it didn't, like certain times, it didn't work because things were happening outside their control. So for this part, it's we love heated rivalry because the desire wasn't rushed, it was simmering, it was building, and it lived in those glances, that banter, the restraint, the tension, the patience. So when your friends and your possible family is like, "Oh my God, I love that show," it's probably because there's a part of them that desires that too. So the next thing I want to say about how heated rivalry is literally code for women, um, the quote rivalry is the sexual polarity. This whole enemies to lovers thing works because polarity creates chemistry. The fact that they were on opposition really intensified their attraction of one another. Desire in itself needs friction, not sameness. That's why we see issues when, sexual relations or intimacy can dull after some time. And that's why you have to keep things spicy, have the conversations. This whole power dynamic in the show, it's fluid, it changes. No one is less than. Obviously one character may come off as the, power more in his masculine, the other. However, in terms of their intimacy, it's equally exchanged. They desire to give and to enjoy from one another, right? There's this mutual respect beneath the tension and safety. And that's why I'm saying, like, any kind of intimacy that doesn't have a little spark can feel a little dull. And women want to feel alive. I mean, we all do, you know what I'm saying? And heated rivalry, respectfully, created that edge. The next part I want to talk about on like why this show is getting so many pointers is because of the emotional availability that didn't illustrate weakness. So this is probably one of the big ones that women absolutely love the show, aside from the steamy sex. Like, I get it. Like the first like episode, maybe I think there was a lot more sex, but after that, it was kind of like, you get, it's fine. But then there was the emotional availability. These men were emotionally expressive. They were not passive. They were definitely competent, confident, and certain characters seemed like they got their shit together. And even though, like, throughout this season, there was character development, we see how each one battles with their insecurities to be soft, to let the love in that they didn't ask for. They didn't ask to be fixed. However, we do see over time the conversations they have, the vulnerabilities where they start to open up that they just want to be with one another. And then there's certain scenes where it's like, I need you. Boom. Like, they literally name their feelings, desires, and over time, they're literally listening to each other. As we all know, there's a scene where Shane is listening to Ilya speak Russian and he says some shit. He literally dumps some shit. And it's so wonderful because he's literally letting him be soft. And that's some really great character development. So, hot take, women are asking men to be, they're not asking men to be weak. They just want them to be soft in a way that is integrated, vulnerable, sealed with trust. And finally, I promise, like, wrapping this up, but another thing about this show is the secret desire, the secrecy of being chosen, the we can't be public tension actually feeds into the fact that being chosen is sexy despite the risk. We love that the desire is existing within that relationship despite like what people might think. There's intimacy there that feels sacred and it's not performative. There are a lot of scenes in there where, over time, the time they get to spend together is longer and longer, and the harder it is for them to leave, to go back. So being chosen despite the risk, awakens something kind of primal. It's that whole I want you even if no one is watching. It's this attachment, this erotic safety, this emotional exclusivity, even before labels. And if you watch the show, there's no labels. It's just this is between you and I, but we know what's happening. We know what this is. And over time, again, back to that character development, they literally talk about it and they name things. I'm not gonna spoil everything. Okay, I'm just hitting all the hot spots. Um, so what I'm not saying is, I'm not saying secrecy is healthy long term. You deserve to be in relationship or dating and in a way that you feel seen, validated, secure, and you have that trust. You can keep things private as long as you want until it is proven into the ways that you need, right? You don't, hiding something is only beneficial like short term. And of course, obviously in this show, it's a long time, like literally years. And the thing is, even though this relationship happens over the course of years, guess what? Women spend years proving themselves, compromising themselves, waiting to be prioritized. And this story kind of feeds into that, except they change it because they don't wait on one another. It just happens. They just decide and they choose. They choose to see each other, they choose to risk it. And if you watched the season finale, you know what I'm talking about. And let me tell you, we all want someone who's like Shane's mom, okay? At the cottage. If you know, you know. So, women don't love Heated Rivalry because it's unrealistic. We love it because it reflects what happens when desire is mutual, when love is patient, when emotional presence becomes non-negotiable, and connection doesn't require self-abandonment. There's so much over time when the characters recognize how they make each other feel, the ability to be themselves, to let those masks down or put the hockey sticks down. The real fantasy isn't rivalry. It's being met. It's being chosen. It's this is what I want despite what people expect of me. And that's really big. And I'm gonna end this episode, and I'm gonna ask you this, okay? Are you drawn to this show because of the standard it sets? Or are you drawn to this show because that's exactly how you want to be desired? Hmm? It's wild. And I know that they're working on season two. I mean, obviously, if you watch the season finale, you know why. And I can't tell you how many people were like, Victoria, have you seen Heated Rivalry? And I was like, all right, give me a couple days. And I very much enjoyed it. I did. I mean, obviously, I have my little because this is kind of new and it's very exciting. However, the relationship dynamic and character development, I had my own like moments where I was watching it and I was witnessing and feeling that relatability when it came to, choosing, knowing that this is not what people expected and I'm going to do it. And at the end, I was like, oh my God, it really is worth the risk. Love is worth the risk if both parties choose each other. So, all right, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know this is kind of different, a different kind of episode. So if you think there's a show out there that I should watch that you think would be fun to listen to on the podcast, let me know. And I will see you in the next episode.